Hola, bienvenidos a Lightspeed Spanish. Today I'm going to share with you a listening hack that will completely change how you deal with listening to Spanish speakers when they're speaking too quickly. Pues hablamos de todo en la segunda parte. Now you might be thinking, hang on a minute. There is no hack. I've been listening to Spanish speakers I don't understand a blinking word they're saying. True, and it depends. Some people are really bad communicators. Think about your own language. Think about some people that you know. Some people you understand beautifully, and some people you don't understand because they don't express themselves very nicely, they don't use gestures, they don't move their mouth properly, they mumble, they swallow the words. Well, the same applies in Spanish. You're not going to see and meet people who speak beautifully every day. You're going to come across challenges. However, there's one system that I learned to use when I was learning Spanish in Mexico. And I'm going to explain the system that you mustn't use first, before I explain the system that you have to use. The system you mustn't use is this. Somebody starts talking to you and you say, bengo. Bengo is, bengo, that comes from venir, doesn't it? To come, that means I come. They said I come. And too late. Suddenly they're 7 sentences ahead. You've missed everything that they've said because all you've done is focus on the word bengo. That's what we shouldn't do. And yet that's what the majority of us do, and that's what I did. I used to be listening to somebody and I would pick up on a word, or I would hear a word that I didn't understand and think, what's that word? I don't understand. Or worse still, somebody would talk to me and I would on the inside go, oh no, they're talking to me in Spanish. I'm not going to be able to understand a word that they're saying. They're going to speak too fast. What are they saying? I don't understand. And I couldn't hear what they were saying because of the shouting inside of my head, of my brain saying, I don't understand. All of that internal chatter only serves to stop you from understanding. The truth of the matter is, if you've done the work, obviously I'm not talking about somebody who's never heard Spanish before. You're not going to understand things. But if you've done the work, you've got tons of Spanish words up here. But what you've got to do is be able to understand the words that they're saying and link them with the words that you've got in your head. How do you do that? This is the hack. You shut up. That's it. You just shut your mind up. How do you do that? What you have to do is you have to go into a state. And it's a state, call it what you will. I could call it hypnosis. I could call it meditation. I could call it daydreaming. I could call it anything. But what it is, it's where you go like this. You really just letting the words flow over you without trying to understand them. You're not working to understand them. This is the key. I learned this and it took me a year to learn this technique. Once I'd learned the technique, then I could listen to people. And what happens is this. Somebody's talking to you and you just look at them with this light and you tilt your head to one side and just listen. But without any commentary in your head, just listening like this. Then they finish speaking. And this is the key. Then you wait. And your mind at some point will say, I think that they have just said this. Right? That's what your mind will do. I promise you. It'll say, I think they've said this. And about 50% of the time, it's right. And about 50% of the time, it's completely and utterly wrong. Let me explain what I mean. So, somebody's chatting, okay? And they go, es que yo quería ir a la fiesta, ¿sabes? El sábado, pero luego tenía problemas y al final no pude ir. You've listened to that like this. And your mind's picking up on fiesta, ir, sábado pasado, okay? And your mind says, I think they're talking about a party that they went to on last Saturday, okay? Now, yes, they're talking about a party last Saturday, but they said, I couldn't go. And sometimes what happens is your mind picks up the key words, but it misses something important, like the negation. And so you think that they've done something and they're telling you that they haven't done it. But it doesn't matter. You can build on that. The more that you get used to it, the more that you relax into it, the more you understand. But what you definitely will get is your mind will pick up the key words from that sentence and say, this is the theme. At least that gives you a starter. And you can say, a ver, ¿qué? Explícame eso de la fiesta. ¿Qué? Okay? Because you know that they've talked about fiesta and all of that. So that's how we do it. We must shut down everything and just let the words flow over you like a river without any thinking, without trying to, that word, I know it, or that I don't know. No, nothing. Once I understood that process, I started to use it a lot. And my listening skills improved massively when I stopped fighting and shouting on the inside and telling myself I'm not going to understand. All of that affects, and obviously it's a terrible affirmation, I'm not going to understand them. Then you're not. It's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so you go with the attitude of, I want to understand this person. That's it. And now I'm going to listen. Okay? That's it. That's the hack. Try it. Try it out. Practice. You know, when you're listening, like you watch a video of somebody talking, just go into that state and just see how much more you get. And at the end, say, well, what was that about? Probably, I think it was about this. You might be right, you might be wrong. Look at the transcript and find out. But that's a system. No more shouting and screaming in your mind. No more trying to calculate what it is that they're saying and what that word means and where you heard it last time. No, just listen. Bueno chicos, espero que os haya ayudado ese consejo sobre la mejor manera de escuchar a una persona. Pero ojo, a veces la gente habla mal y tú no puedes hacer nada. Hasta hoy en día, de vez en cuando, yo no puedo entender a alguien porque hablan como mi culo y yo no puedo cambiar nada. Son ellos, es su culpa. Vale chicos, os quiero mucho. Hasta luego.